Okay, delving into the internals of the markets once again, because we are trying to make sense of the mid-cap mayhem. In the season of bad loans and weakening asset quality, turns out that a number of companies are seeing an increase in promoter pledge, and especially this is across the board. Mubina joins in with what she's picked out in terms of a red flag from the broader markets, because if the markets keep falling, rest assured these pledges could get active. Mubina?
Well, that's true, Tanveer, and we have seen an interesting trend come by if in this pledge shares or pledgeometer, if you can just term it that, compare it with Q4 and Q3. The number of, the percentage of pledged shares in Q3 was at about 72 companies. That increased to about 79 in Q4, and the number of companies where there was a reduction in the percentage of pledged shares decreased from 104 to just about 74 odd companies. So clearly the trend is shifting in favor of those companies that are actually increasing the number of or the percentage of pledged shares by promoters. Where is it actually that you are seeing a lot of action? There are a couple of companies and counters as well where we have seen significant increase in percentage of promoter pledged shares. Take for example Prakash Industries. That should come up for you on your screens in just a bit. Prakash Industries in fact has seen a 25% rise in pledged shares. That's of course a percentage of promoter pledged shares. So Prakash Industries has been one such company. There are a couple of other companies as well. Take for that matter Prakash Industries, and then of course there are even a couple of metal counters as well that have seen a reduction or rather an increase in pledged shares. So these are some counters where we have seen that the percentage of promoter pledged shares has actually increased quite a bit. But apart from that, if we have to pick out counters and if we have to pick up sectors as well where there is seen an increase in pledged shares, there's Emami. From 29% it's increased to 39.9%. Cox and Kings from 54.2 it's increased to 62.6%. Adani Ports as well, the percentage of pledged shares was 25%, now it's increased to 34%. But apart from that, there are a couple of companies where there has been a fall as well in the percentage of promoter pledged shares. So Sri Renuka Sugar has actually seen the most fall. From 47.8% in Q3, it's a decrease to 24.7% in Q4. Jubilant group of companies as well has seen a good decrease in its pledged shares. So take for example Jubilant Life from 19.2%, now the percentage of pledged shares is only at 5.5%. Same for Jubilant Food, from 17.6% it's now only at 11.9%. But another good news, there are certain companies who have absolutely no pledged shares, and in fact where the promoter shareholding has actually increased. So take for example a Bhansali Engineering, take a Pidilite, Bajaj Holdings, India Bulls Ventures, JM Financial, Alembic Pharma. These are the counters where there is absolutely no pledge shareholding or promoter shareholding has actually increased. And if I have to look at it from a sector wise, percentage of pledge shares, utilities, that is the sector that does have the maximum number of pledged shares at 4.9% of the market cap. Consumer discretionary closely following in on the heels, and then there's industrials and materials as well where the percentage of pledged shares is at more than 2.5% of the total market cap. Telecom as well, relatively of course it's quite low, and given the kind of troubles that sector is seeing, I guess relatively it's been a bit more resilient over there. Only 0.6% of the total market cap of pledged shares is being there. But interestingly, of course, you have to note that there are more companies that are pledging their promoter shareholding as opposed to those that are unencumbered.